Hello. We're going to talk about what investing taught me about life that school never did. It's so interesting to see the similarities in investing in the stock market or any system that appreciates in value over time. And the lessons I've learned through my own life in relationships, my health, work, career. Most people think investing is just all about money. But really, when we say the word investing, it could actually mean planting the seeds today so that you can harvest more tomorrow. So I just wanted to share what that looked like for myself, but break it down into like the three main lessons that I've learned in my life that are also applicable to the stock market and vice versa. So the first principle would be invest in yourself. First and foremost, to get the most out of life, to get the most ROI, you need to invest. You need to start pouring into yourself. With investing in the stock market, a lot of people think investing is always tied to the stock market. But investing really is just putting your money into any kind of vehicle or system that's going to appreciate over time. So that can be stocks, real estate, crypto, foreign exchange, art, antiques. But outside of a financial framework, we can look at it from life and just the habits, the skills, the relationships that you pour into, how they have a positive impact on you, on your future. And it can go either way, right? Like the lack of investing in yourself in a very intentional way can reap very negative outcomes. So it's important to be mindful when we're talking about investing in ourselves. We're talking about the positive forms of investment. I know for myself, how I've been able to get to where I am today, being the holistic wealth coach that's running a thriving, purpose filled business, living her best life on her terms, traveling, having great relationships, friendships, experiences, and just being at peace with my life and where it's at, literally just able to look at every day with so much grace, admiration, and gratitude. Despite some of the challenges and obstacles, I feel like I would not have gotten to this place if I didn't do the inner work. What does that look like? So that's a lot of the work that I do as a holistic wealth coach. You always focus on mindset, mindset, mindset. Any change you want to go after in your life, it starts here. It starts with the stories that you tell yourself based on the experiences that you've had. To start doing the inner work, you have to unravel the stories. You have to go within. And what does that look like? It could be literally looking at the stories and reframing them. I like to call them limiting beliefs. We all have certain beliefs that have been ingrained in us. You know, a baby doesn't come into this world already having an idea that these groups of people are bad and this is the religious system that is the right one. We are born into a belief system that's been passed on from our parents, from society, from our peers, institutions. So a lot of what we believe isn't actually ours. It's what people have told us to believe about relationships, how relationships should work, our health, what type of work we should do, how to spend your money. And so usually some of the first activities that I do with my clients is unraveling the story. What is your story? And what is the story that you want to have? How do we go from this story to the story that you actually want? That is where the limiting beliefs piece comes in, shifting to a more empowering belief and changing that narrative, changing that story that you've told yourself. It also can be doing things to help calm the body, the nervous system, to quiet the chatter in your mind so you can get to a place where you are making decisions from a calm place. So much of the decisions that we're making is out of a trauma response, fear, anxiety, our ego trying to protect us from the bad experiences we've had in the past. So we put up this guard, this defense mechanism, and that can rob us of so much when it's not necessary, when it doesn't need to be there, when it's actually not threatening you physically in a life or death scenario. But like I said, it's not even just about the external, it's also about how you feel at every point in your life. So the more you're able to come back to that place of satisfaction and peace, of course, the happier you will be. The less things will bother you, no matter what's going on around you. You will find content in yourself because you will remember that you are safe and safety comes from within. So, that of course requires consistency. And so that's kind of when we get into now the investment piece. Because to invest, when you're investing in the stock market, you have to be consistent. You don't just throw $100 in and that's it. You never invest again. If you want to see greater returns, this is where the idea of compound interest comes in, right? It's interest working on its interest. And so what that looks like is leaning on these habits, these practices around your health and wellness, the inner health and wellness, mind, body, and spirit, but being consistent with it. For spirit, that would probably be practicing gratitude, saying a prayer, connecting with the divine higher self. For the mind, definitely meditation, or I'm journaling, or I'm tapping. For the body, sometimes I will dance, moving around that stuck energy, going for a walk, immersing myself in nature, or maybe doing yoga. Three things I always make sure I tap into every single day, and I'm consistent. I do it because I know it is only going to add to the ROI. The second principle is on the idea that growth is not linear. Or it looks like loss at first. Okay, so we're looking at the stock market and how it's performed over the past like 70 to 100 years. Overall, it's like this upward incline of growth. But when you actually look at the graph, it's really like this, consistently increasing in returns over time. You just keep being consistent with it and you continue to invest in yourself and the companies you're investing in, hoping that overall 20, 30, 40 years down the road, it will be in a better place, even with ups and downs. So when it comes to life, it's very similar, right? Like life will come with its challenges, with its obstacles. You're going to have good times, you're going to have bad times. The goal is to eventually master minimizing the bad times and maximizing the good times and having better experiences. How you can do that is actually what I just spoke about before on investing in yourself, right? So when you start to learn the art of investing in yourself, putting yourself first, investing in your health, your relationships, your money, all of these things, over time, you will still come up against challenges and roadblocks and delays. It's a part of life. But if you continue to keep pushing, keep moving, you will always end up in a better situation than where you were before. And even if you look at it in hindsight, right? When you look back at your life, you don't see how this can benefit you and why this is happening. What purpose does this negative experience have? Like, how could this possibly be a good thing for you? And most people, when they look back, they'll be like, oh, yeah, man, like that needed to happen. Because if I never went through that situation, I wouldn't have realized that I needed to take XYZ steps in order to get here or to make sure that this never happened to me again. That is the second principle that I wanted to talk about. Growth often looks like loss at first, like hardship. It feels scary, it feels uncomfortable. Because when things are going good, you just want it to continue doing good. When something doesn't turn out the way that you want it, you realize you can't control it. You can't get it to be what you want it to look like or how you want it to feel. You have to loosen the reins. Sometimes that requires ending that friendship. Sometimes that requires leaving that job and starting something different. Sometimes that requires having to make sacrifices for your health so that your body can heal and that you can feel better. I realized that what I thought was a loss eventually ends up being a gain. When you look at things long term, if you zoom out, it's really not a loss. It's just that you don't see the gains that are coming your way. Then the third principle will be things will always regrow. When it comes to investing, for example, there's the idea of the panic sell where you're at a certain period in your life where things aren't looking good and you just don't think it's ever going to get better. A lot of people at this point just give up. I'm going to give up on my health. I'm going to give up on my relationship. I'm going to give up on aspiring to be that thing that I want to be because it's just not looking in my favor no matter what I do. When you look at the stock market, there are some real big dips in the history of the stock market existing, at least the US stock market. And when I tell you that there is always a comeback season, there's always the potential and the opportunity for that in your life. And so when you look at your life, we're not living just for today, right? We have the hope and the intention that we're going to live a long life. What you are going through today is going to be very minuscule to how you're experiencing life in the future. And the only reason why today seems so grave is because you don't know what's coming your way. The unknown is just like this void, it's this dark place. People are scared of the dark. People are scared of anything that is a void of light because you can't see. You don't have control over the darkness and what's around you, your environment, what's coming for you. When we talk about like the being in danger, you can really be in danger if you don't see that bear lurking in the night. You're more likely to spot the bear during the day than at night. And so when you're not in a good place, so often we feel like our future is going to be a resemblance of that because it's the darkness, it's the void. And this has been my life experience. This is all I know. I just want you to realize and to know that it can get better. I believe it does get better if you are willing to do the work. And just hoping that you have the right support systems to also sometimes get you there. Even in the stock market, it's so hard to trust that, okay, this stock, it's down this much percentage points. I don't know if it's going to make a comeback. I'm just going to sell my stocks. And then it does make a comeback and you regret it. There are moments where you do need to give up, but it takes a lot of discernment because most times we give up when it's not necessary, when we actually haven't given it the time and the patience to see itself through. We give up because sometimes it's just easier to give up and start something else. A new goal, a new relationship, a new job. But when you see the benefits of the challenge, the obstacle, the resistance, and you know how to alchemize that, you go into it with the right intentions. For example, with stock market investing, there are times where I have sold stocks. It takes looking at certain key factors to determine whether you truly need to leave a stock. And most of the time, I don't leave stocks because the stocks that I invest in, I truly believe will be here 100 years from now. You should not be committed to something in your life if you don't see it being sustainable. Why invest in something that is going to be short-lived? And so much of us are investing, we're giving so much of ourselves to something that is temporary, that is not a guarantee. And I'm not saying to not put in effort at all, but if you realize you're putting effort into something and you're not getting anything back, to realize something, would it make your life any better or not? That is what I feel like is when you can look at the potential of giving up. So if I'm investing in a stock for short-term wins, like I'm like, okay, I just think the stock is going to be good maybe for the next few years or so. That's what I did with investing in marijuana. When you know how to practice discernment, when you know like, okay, this isn't for the long term, this is just a test drive. I'm just intuitively the song. Oh, what's the artist's name? I think Joji. Yeah, it's this song called Test Drive. It's like looking for a long ride, but she just want to test drive, right? And so I see it like that. It's like, are you in it for the long term or just for the fun and the short term benefits? So is it something short term that you're pushing and you're like, honestly, even if I get it, is it even gonna last? Then I would say, okay, give up, try something different. And that's like really you've exhausted all options. But when you give up, there should not be any resentment. So that about wraps up all my principles. Invest in yourself first. Growth sometimes looks like loss, and things always regrow if you stay planted. You're already investing in some way or form or capacity. So, how can you be more intentional about it in your life, in your investments, your financial investments themselves? And actually, I created a ethical investor starter kit for anyone that is either a beginner investor and wants to know how to get started, but also those who are already investing and want to learn how to invest through an ethical lens, how to be mindful of where their money is going, how it's hopefully positively impacting people and the planet, as well as still prioritizing, or I wouldn't say prioritizing, but still giving equal importance and weight to profits because there's no point of investing in yourself if you do not see greater returns, whether financially or in your life. So I want to show you how you can do that through an ethical lens while investing in the stock market. If that is of interest to you, in the description below, I have the link to download that free resource. Please share in the comments below, how do you want to start investing in yourself? Which area of your life do you feel like you need to put more time, energy, intention, and effort into in order to be that version of you that you want to become, the more empowered version of you financially, in your relationships, when it comes to your health and your career, whatever that may be? I'm here to support you along that journey. If you truly enjoyed this episode today, definitely like and subscribe, and I will see you in another video. Bye, guys.